647, and as of tonight, there are officially 42,043 reported deaths linked to coronavirus in the United States. Joe Joyce, a Trump voter, and his daughter Kristen disagreed about the coronavirus pandemic. Kristen told the New York Times he watched Fox, she said. She told the Times he watched Fox and believed it was under control. Kristen remembers her father saying, "Don't you think this is fishy? Do you know anyone who has it? Do you know anyone who has died from it?" And I said, "Dad, I don't know anyone now, but give me a week and I bet I will." And a week later, Kristen's dad, Joe Joyce, was hospitalized with coronavirus. In a Pulitzer-worthy report in the New York Times, Jania Belafonte tells the story of Joe Joyce from the 1970s when he returned from Vietnam to his time working as a gym teacher at a Catholic school in Brooklyn to his 43 years of owning and operating J.J. Bubbles Bar in Bay Ridge, 43 years that earned him the adjective beloved in the New York Times headline about him. Joe Joyce boarded a cruise ship in Florida on March 1st, the day after the United States recorded its first death from coronavirus. That cruise ship, with Joe Joyce and his wife aboard, was sailing full speed towards Spain, full speed ahead toward the virus in Spain. The second day that Joe Joyce was at sea, Donald Trump held a rally in North Carolina with thousands of people crowded in to see him and cheer him on. Joe Joyce flew back to New York from Barcelona on March 14th. He went to work at his bar the next day. And the day after that, New York City closed bars, forced all bars to close. So Joe and his wife went to their house in New Hampshire for kind of forced vacation. 10 days later, on March 27th, Joe's daughter, Kristen, immediately called an ambulance when she got off the phone with her father because he sounded so sick on the phone. Kristen thinks her father would have canceled the cruise and the trip to Europe, the trip to Spain, if Donald Trump had taken the threat more seriously instead of actually calling the coronavirus a hoax at one of his rallies. Kristen told the Times, if Trump had gone on TV with a mask on and said, "Hey, this is serious," I don't think he would have gone. When her father began to feel sick, he resisted getting tested. He didn't think that he could have it, Kristen said, because he wasn't 100% confident that it was a thing. On April 9th, Joe Joyce died. Cause of death, COVID-19. Possible contributing cause of death, watching Fox and believing Donald Trump. Joe Joyce is not the only one. Today, the intrepid Jamison-Williford asked Donald Trump a simple question: is he concerned? Concerned about people who listen to him and believe him and then get sick. It was a simple question, but the answer could not possibly have been more perverse.
I interviewed someone who said that his family got sick. They went to a funeral in mid-March. And they said mainly because the president wasn't taking it seriously. He said, if the president had a mask on, if he was saying we should stay home, then I would have stayed home.
Well,
Instead, I have family members. He said his family members were sick and because they were listening to you. And do you feel like, or are you concerned that downplaying the virus maybe got some people sick?
And a lot of people love Trump, right? A lot of people love me, see him all the time, right? I guess I'm here for a reason, you know? To the best of my knowledge, I won. And I think we're going to win again. I think we're going to win in a landslide.
The Trump non-answer rambled on, as his non-answers always do. And he never spoke one word of sympathy for any one of the 42,043 Americans who have now lost their lives to COVID-19. Not one word. But he did say, instead of expressing any sympathy for anyone who has died, since that's what the question was about, he did say, a lot of people love me, and he did say he thinks he's going to win in a landslide. Those are the first two things that came to his mind, the first two things he said when he was asked about people dying because they have made the mistake of listening to him and believing him. And it is very fair to interpret that as a demonstration of the only things that Donald Trump actually cares about. A lot of people love me, and I'm going to win in a landslide. It's really one thing. A lot of people love me, therefore I'm going to win in a landslide. It's one thing. That's all he cares about. If you're offered a chance as president of the United States to say something about Americans who have died from coronavirus, and what you say instead is, a lot of people love me, so I'm going to win in a landslide, that makes it very, very clear that nothing in this life matters more to you. And that also makes it very clear that that is the answer of a sociopath. That is the answer of a person who demonstrated live on television today to the world that he is incapable of feeling anything for anyone who has died of coronavirus. You can just put the period after anything. He is incapable of feeling anything. The 42,043 are just a number in Donald Trump's re-election calculations, a number that he has to avoid talking about. The other number that's a problem for Donald Trump in his re-election campaign tonight is the 99% of us who have not been tested for coronavirus, and most of us will not be tested for coronavirus by the time we get to Election Day in November. And Donald Trump has to find a way to make that okay with voters who have not been tested for coronavirus, while Joe Biden is campaigning for president, promising to take presidential responsibility for providing Americans with the kind of testing they will need to safely go back to work or safely go back to school. A new NBC News poll shows Joe Biden running at 49% of registered voters nationally, with Donald Trump at 42%. That same NBC News poll found that 87% say that it is very likely or somewhat likely that there would be a resurgence of COVID-19 cases if people suddenly went back to work now. Only 12% said that that is not likely. Those 12%, along with Donald Trump, don't seem to have a clear idea about how a parachute works. Dr. Najee Masri of Louisiana State University's hospital has been keeping a video diary for us of life and death in hospitals in New Orleans. And tonight, Dr. Masri compares all of the precautions that we are taking, all of the precautions that we are taking that are working against the coronavirus. He compares those precautions to a parachute.